I see his.
You get a laptop with you today. It wasn't enough on paper.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, somebody's.
Just move the mic so it's not ringing. Turn.
Doing anything?
You're probably just gonna mute it.
Yeah, mute your laptop. So I can
What's
hear.
that?
Turn the volume off in the volume.
It'll still record you. Yeah, then you can use your mic and then people
Right,
else will
so
still
that-
hear it at home.
All right,
Need those young guys upstairs.
no, all good.
I think
All
they're
right.
bottom.
Oh, is this?
Yeah, we're good.
I
Thank
had
you.
it on, volume.
Gotcha.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 4th Wakefield Planning Board meeting. So we do not need to sit any alternates tonight. The first thing, or the next thing on the agenda is a presentation. So Chuck Robbins and John Balanoff are here to talk about Wakefield Lakes Road Crew. So Chuck, if you want to.
Sure. Good evening. For those at home who may not know who and what I am, Chuck Robbins. I've lived in Wakefield for over 50 years and been here since 62, part-time. And since 1984, I sent my first letter out about the lakes, and I'll mention that here as I read along on the site. In 2015 and 16 with Linda Shire, who was running at the time, I created a shoreland officer in the town with the help of the selectmen at the time, Ken Paul, Charlie Edwards, and Connie Twombly. He lasted 8 years. He left and we haven't replaced him. So unfortunately, we're back to where we were in 2015 with just a part-time side job for the building inspector. So that, hopefully that'll tell you a little bit who's presenting to you, but I'm just a fellow citizen with no, nothing special other than just being with you guys. So I'm going to read the website and go over certain things, and the board feel free to ask me as I go along or at the end. John Balanoff from Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance is here, and Russ Lanoy, who's created a book. He's done years and years on hundreds of miles of roads to treat dirt roads so they don't become a liability to the lakes bleeding silt into them. So introduction, welcome to the Wakefield Lakes website. Oh, and for those at home, you can't Google this website. Google will take forever probably. I say that and it'll probably come up tomorrow. But Yahoo and Bing have both had it up. So if you just put in Wakefield Lakes without any space.com on Bing or Yahoo, it'll come up. Or if you go to this top line, the URL line, and put in www.wakefieldlakes.com, it'll come up automatically. Thank you. Introduction. Well, welcome to the Wakefield Lakes website, dedicated to bringing the taxpayers of Wakefield and the continued privilege of having one of the lowest tax rates in the state of New Hampshire. If you follow the links listed on this page, you will find facts and references that show you why we can no longer kick the can down the road when it comes to protecting this valuable financial asset. These links will help all of us come to the conclusion we must protect this asset, specifically the R2 zone that encompasses the shoreline of the lakes and much of their watersheds. These bodies of water represent the financial lifeblood of Wakefield, producing 2/3 of all real estate tax income and 1/3 of all yearly income for the town. The best way to protect these assets is to create a new Lake Road Crew Shoreland Department, which I mentioned we had a one-man shoreland department, and I'd like to see that happen again, obviously. Similar to our current public road crew department and budget. In the links on this page, you will see why we are losing this advantage if we do not act now and stop the yearly erosion that is killing the financial lifeblood of Wakefield. If we act now and create this department in March of 2027 vote, generations of future Wakefield residents will applaud what we did, and unless the rest of the state follows us, they will envy our financial stability. One more key aspect of having these lakes in our towns, especially for future generations, is the quality of the lake water. Without a doubt, the lakes will supply the future residents with a much-needed drinking water source as we see overwhelming demand for water from the population growth and the real elephant in the room, data centers. And I'd just like to mention, if everybody at home wants to take the time to look at the May 21st Planning Board meeting, they did a great job. They talked about Airbnb or VRBOs on the lakes, people renting. And when they spoke about it, you have to understand, if someone rents out a camp on a lake for 10 weeks and they have a 2-bedroom septic system, which many do, or no state-approved septic system, people pay a lot of money for that cottage. They're very well going to bring a lot of people and stress that system. So thank you guys for talking about that on the 21st. And the elephant in the room, data centers, if you watch the same meeting, the last 15 minutes, they went in, they dove into data centers, which I thought was pretty great. So the next thing is the tax value of the lakes. Tax value of Wakefield lakes and the main way to protect them. Wakefield's tax rate over the years was either number 1 or 2 best for any town with a population over 5,000. Rye, New Hampshire was the other town. The current tax rate for any town with a population of more than 5,500 is Wolfboro at $836 per thousand, Rye at $837, and Wakefield, we're now in third at $871 per thousand property value. I will mention Moulton Borough at $533 per thousand with a population of 4,900, according to the Department of Revenue Municipal Tax Rates chart for 2025. And here I include the link. So if you want, you can go through this yourselves and see what I just said to make sure that what I'm referencing is correct. As a contrary comparison, let's look at our 4 abutting New Hampshire neighbors. Wakefield would have a real estate tax burden approximately 50 to 75% higher if we match the current rates of Middleton at $15.79, Milton at $14.76, Brookfield at $13.15, and Ossipee at $12.77. What do the first of these 4 towns have in common? Water frontage. So shouldn't we be funding their survival as we do other departments that are so vital to our health and safety? As I will show you in other documents, all departments depend on 1/3 of their budgets coming from this one source, the R2 zone, our lakes, and their watershed. In 1984, I put out my first letter about taking action to protect the health of the lakes. I got some positive responses and a few that joked, why worry, confident that the lakes would heal themselves. The lake associations have done various good works over the years with efforts at that time, such as putting colored tablets down the drains. I remember when we did that, that was pretty funny. And cottages to show where toilets and other gray water sources may be leaking into the lakes and encouraging people to install modern septic systems. Recently, many of the lake associations have worked with the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance, AWA, to create watershed erosion maps. With these maps, we can easily identify the areas that need immediate work. Immediate work. The reason I'm going to read, this is off of our site. At one of my meetings, one of the people did not know what AWA was or what they did. So I think it's important. There's probably many people at home that may not know. The Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance, AWA, is a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization established in 2005 and dedicated to protecting and restoring the water quality of the lakes, ponds, rivers, and streams of Wakefield, New Hampshire, in the border region of Acton, Maine. Our staff, board members, and volunteers work closely with these communities to strengthen the understanding that what happens on land directly affects the health of our local waters. Healthy water bodies provide essential benefits serving as natural resources, wildlife habitat, recreational opportunities, and vital economic engines for our communities. That's a great one, John. AWA takes a multifaceted approach to keeping our lakes healthy by coordinating pollution control projects, deploying its youth conservation corps to carry out projects aimed at mitigating erosion, delivering school programs and community education, and serving as a resource for lake associations, as you'll see when I show you some maps that they've worked with AWA to create, and municipal boards. AWA has brought hundreds of thousands of dollars to preserving our lakes. And you can go to their website by just clicking on this, and it's a great website. In comparison, over the years, taxpayers have contributed $35,000 to $85,000, 0.02 to 0.04% of the yearly budget toward protecting this #1 asset in our town. While some of the other town departments, highway, police, fire, ambulance, recreation, and town offices, to name a few, cost anywhere from $250,000 to $1.3 million. So why do we turn a blind eye to this #1 revenue generator? There are different trains of thought, including the popular misnomer that the state will pick up the slack where the town funding fails. Unfortunately, the state puts about the same amount of dollars and effort into protecting this huge asset statewide as we have locally. Not much. I repeat this line: use it, abuse it, lose it. For example, the state may have 3 or 4 field inspectors working in the field at any one time. Those inspectors are responsible for millions of feet of waterfront in the state. We in Wakefield have approximately 300,000 linear feet of waterfront and miles of roads accessing these lakes, with the majority being dirt or gravel. Why does this make a difference? Because this material, which is usually added to the roads every year before washing into the water bodies with rain and erosion, is the leading cause of cyanobacteria and low dissolved oxygen, which are deadly to aquatic life. You can see the effects of low dissolved oxygen on lakes and additional literature listed here on the website. To better describe it, the poor numbers you see in 2 of our most valuable lakes, Lovell and Pine River, are indicative of the erosion problems we can cure. You can see the very good numbers on Great East Lake, but I tell you, it will eventually have the same problems. The reason it looks good now is that Great East Lake has a maximum depth of 102 feet, and the other lakes are not half that deep. Therefore, the contaminating erosion affecting all these lakes is temporarily masked at the Great East Lake, while these erosion nutrients are hiding at the bottom of these depths. Where do we go from here? In 2021, I mailed a survey to all residents of Wakefield, and a small number of non-resident lakefront owners got a copy. The survey asked if you believe that we should create a department similar to the road crew. They do great work on a tight budget and all sorts of weather. This newly created lake crew would work to control the road erosion around the lakes. I presented the results in September 2021 at a selectmen's meeting and showed that over 4 to 1 people supported the idea. The respondents were required to provide their names and addresses. After much discussion, the selectmen, like most of us, expressed concerns about the cost, but this is a definite case of you can, pay me now or pay me later. When degradation has led to constant cyanobacteria blooms and the smell that comes with them, people will start coming to the town hall from the lakes to ask for a reduction in their assessed value, property value. I have spoken to people who have experienced just that at Province Lake. Once that ball starts rolling, the tax burden naturally will go to those who do not live near the lakes. Back to the 2021 Selectmen's meeting. Selectman Ken Feithel raised a concern about the town working on private roads, which is legitimate if a town doesn't want to end up having to take over these roads. But I believed that just like in any real estate deal, you can make an agreement with the private road owner to work on the erosion control to the benefit of taxpayers. I owned most of Redgate Road for 20 years or almost 20 years on Level Lake, and I would have welcomed something like this as the private landowner of that road. Still, to this end, I contacted then Senator Bradley from Wolfboro and proposed that we draft a bill to alleviate that very concern for towns. What an education that was. After a couple of years, I appeared before the Senate subcommittee and received their unanimous approval. Rochester Senator Gray was helpful in proposing an amendment that improved the bill. I then went to the 20-member House committee where I was turned down unanimously. One representative thought I was trying to make money with the passage of the bill, with the bill's passage. Others did not see the need for it, and one representative made it clear that she thought the town could reach an agreement with property owners without the new law, and the bill was defeated. And that, I had said the same thing in September 21, so I was happy to hear one of the legislators say that. Just remember, even if you never get your feet wet, these lakes are giving you one of the cheapest tax rates in the state, and I hope this all will give the people knowledge to understand. I repeat, if you abuse it, and if you use it and abuse it, you're going to lose it. Unfortunately, many believe it is not a problem, as you can see in articles, links below, in which sitting Governor John Sununu at Wakefield's 2024 250th anniversary celebration at the town hall stated that cyanobacteria are not toxic. And there's a couple articles. There's one. Sununu claims cyanobacteria are not toxic. So there's two articles that you can read and make your own decisions on. So I'm getting, so that's the main, let's see, the tax value. I should know this site, shouldn't I? So here's the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance. And I just read you something, but some of this is mostly it's my writing. The Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance, for over 20 years, this nonprofit contributed greatly with minimal support from Wakefield yearly budget to help save Wakefield's #1 tax asset, the lakes. The list is too long to fit on a sheet of paper, but 3 examples of their hard work are Pine River Association Boat Launch, Clearwater Lane, and Pinewood Shores, all on Pine River. All 3 of those locations were contributing substantial erosion and consequently cyanobacteria. Also, 20 failed septic system, among endless other projects. To put it in perspective, they have used their knowledge to receive hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to bring money from the 319 Clean Waters Act of 1987 to help preserve our tax base, the lakes. We have recently been contributing $40,000 a year to AWA, except in 23 when it was canceled as part of the default budget vote. AWA has been so good at raising 319 Clean Water Act money for Wakefield that in 2019 they received $100,000, and in 2024 another $180,000, which in both cases were among the largest amounts given to any entity in New Hampshire. Unfortunately, the current presidential administration is not funding this program. For more information on the great work AWA has done, and you can click on their link, there is an update. And I'll explain. The update is the Clean Waters Act of 319 grant program has been approved for 2026. Congress put it in against the person who didn't want it in. Unfortunately, due to the delay in approving the budget at the federal level, the funds will be delayed in arriving to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and subsequently the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. NHDS has posted the delay on its website since July of 2025. The timeline of the funds being granted to the groups that will apply will most likely be in the fall of 2027. Hopefully there will be 2 years of funding, and I say very skeptically, hopefully there will be 2 years of funding available at that time. And this is the update. If someone wants to read it, that's what was on the site. And each year, New Hampshire DES solicits projects to address non-point source NPS pollution through the implementation of watershed-based plans in priority watersheds. Projects must comprehensively address NPS problems. So this paragraph just tells you how good AWA is. They're getting this money when every group, you have almost 1,000 bodies of water in the state, and they're going out and getting 5, 10, 20% of the money on some years. That's how lucky we are that they're that good and trusted by this fund, that they're bringing that money to us. So Acton Wakefield Watershed. These are quicker. So this is the budget to protect the lakes for 26. We okayed $35,425. Of that, Balch Lake asked for $7,500 for milfoil, as did Bello got $10,000. Our administers $17,925 to these funds help. They don't get the money, they just administer it, they help us out. These funds help with the lake access point work, as you know, the people at the boat ramps checking for stuff, overseeing boats being watched for invasive species. Great East gets $5,500, Level $5,000, Pine River $3,000, and Providence $43.75. We also have a warrant Article 23 to appropriate 10 grand. And I believe, is that for the Level Lake boat launch, Charlie? Is that what that's for? I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's for. Ours 40 grand. This 40,000 amount was, as I said before, was removed in 2023 when we defaulted. So a total of 85,425 would represent approximately 0.4% of Wakefield's total budget. Yet the R2 zone that encompasses the lake's waterfront and some of its watershed deliver 66% of the total tax revenue and 1/3 of all of Wakefield's income. Remember, the vast majority of these taxpayers do not live here year-round and therefore do not tax our services, school, that would equate to us year-round residents. So after that, I'm moving along, guys. Hold on. This is one that I only put in here to see how we've got to take care of this tax base ourselves. It's not stepping out of line about talking about the lakes. It's telling you have 225 roughly towns in the state. This new rule that went in for the top 7.8% of tax filers, the last year and this year will save $300 million for them, but it will cost us. So that's $1 million or more for a town like Wakefield, that either they're going to cut services or they're going to tell us to pick up that tax burden. The true cost of interest and dividends tax repeal to the vast majority of granted state residents. Governor Ayotte in 2025 announced her state budget proposal. Even though she stated that her budget was being done with a scalpel, not a shovel, you could see below that the state's political leaders passed a bill that favors the few, and you, the many, will have to make up the difference. The interest and dividends tax had existed for 100 years, and until a bill removing interest and dividends was signed into law by the previous Governor John Sununu. Total revenue from the interest and don't roll your eyes, I'll give you the numbers at the end. Total revenue from the interest and dividends tax was $147.3 million during fiscal 2023 and $184.3 million in fiscal 2024, according to unaudited figures from the Department of Administrative Services. Keep in mind that $147.3 million was taxed at 4% and not the 5% for your 2023, and the $184.3 million was taxed at 3% for 2024. That was the phasing out amounts in 2023 and 24, not the 5% tax that was paid prior to this bill being passed. Starting in 2025, it is zero. Based on these numbers, $307 million is what New Hampshire would have received in 2024, a loss of $123 million, and $184 million in 23, a loss of $37 million if taxed at long-held rate of 5%. Moving forward, New Hampshire could see a shortfall, and I guess I'm being conservative because when I wrote this at the time, I didn't realize we were going to have high interest rates this long, $200 to $250 million a year if interest and dividends fall, which all residents will see in higher real estate taxes and less services, mainly impacting people who most need help. 2025 appears to be similar to 24, meaning a loss of additional $300 million. That means a total of $460 million since the phasing out started in 2023 of this income to the state. If we could take a look at current interest rates staying high, and the dividend paying companies contributing to do well in 2026 and make a conservative estimate, we could see an additional $250 to $300 million lost in 26. That would be $710 to $760 million lost since the phasing out began in 23. Realize the vast majority of citizens have not ever paid this tax. And then there's an article here that you can click on and read. This link provides the breakdown of who paid this tax, and you will see that 7.8% of the wealthiest filers paid this tax, meaning 92% of the filers paid nothing in 2021. Why not ask your state representative why they would support such a bill that favors the citizens most capable of making this contribution? The result, less services, more tax burden sent back to the towns and cities of the state. I'm sure they'll give you the stock answer, that these wealthiest of New Hampshire residents will leave the state without us removing this 100-year-old tax. But New Hampshire is already one of the least income tax-based states in the country. This will get quicker, I swear to you. So this next, I'm not going to read any of this. This is somebody else wrote this, and this explains what I just said. And that's the link that says, what is the interest and dividends tax? This is something I got. The assessor was very helpful. And this shows how I came up with these numbers of 33 and 66%. So I sent her an email, and she was nice enough to look it up over time and got back to me. And she shows what the town's assessed value is, what the R2 is, and that the R2 is 66% of the value. So thank you, Allison. I appreciate your help. So this is, I'll read only one of these. I'm not going to make you listen to all of it. So dissolved oxygen, this is my big thing. I call it, and remember, I'm just like you guys. I've just been learning from people like Doug and talking to people who have knowledge at the state over all these years. And so I've been getting the knowledge and trying to absorb some of it and then talking to them again when I forget half of what they tell me. But dissolved oxygen to me this is the canary in the coal mine. And dissolved oxygen is the breathable air in the lake for aquatic life, whether it's crayfish at the bottom who really struggle with bad dissolved oxygen, or the fish who can move around. But my best example is, if I put you guys at 8,000 feet above sea level right now, you wouldn't die. Yeah, there's still fish in that lake, Chuck. Well, you wouldn't die at 8,000 feet. Some might, but most of us here wouldn't. But you'd struggle. That's what's going on in these lakes with poor dissolved oxygen. And it's a result of all this erosion getting into the lakes and stripping the breathable air out. So aquatic plants and add oxygen to the lake water through photosynthesis, although some of that oxygen may be used up when dead plants decay. Dissolved oxygen is considered an important measure of water quality because it is essential for aquatic communities. Without oxygen, a lake would be devoid of all animal life. Changes in dissolved oxygen levels can occur for a variety of reasons, including water temperature, wind action, and the amount of algae and aquatic plants in the lake. When algae and aquatic plants decay, that bacteria that decompose them, they use up the dissolved oxygen. Excess algae can result in extensive bacterial growth and accompanying low oxygen levels. While fish can often swim away from the areas with low oxygen, benthic, help me out, John. Macroinvertebrates may be trapped in low oxygen zones. The EPA used the mean surface concentration from the top 2 meters, so what, 6 feet, 7 feet, to determine the condition of the class using the same benchmarks in all ecoregions. So 5 parts per million and above is considered good. 3 parts per million is fair, and anything under 3 parts, and this is important for the next thing we're going to look at, 3 parts per million is poor. So because oxygen levels can vary with depth, EPA scientists are researching a new indicator based on dissolved oxygen, and that would use additional data from a greater portion of the column. So moving on, after dissolved oxygen. So the first thing I could show you, and these are quick, this is with John and the lakes associations, right, John? The lake associations work with you to do this?
Yep.
To do this is Great East Lake. And I'm showing you this first, it's the one in the best shape. But if you see the red and yellow and even the blue, those are points that we already know. If we had this crew, we already know where we can go and work. So that's the Great East Lake one, and it looks pretty good. Then you get to Province Lake. And we all know Province Lake, Lake Balch, Lake Great East has even a bigger portion in Maine, but I think Effingham, if we get rolling down the road, Effingham would want it. That's a good tax base for them, that they would want to work with us. We know Province Lake is only 17 feet deep. It has cyanobacteria under the ice, even in the wintertime. So we know that is a problem lake, but let's not give up on any of them. Level Lake, who is one of our, next to Great East, I'd say Pine River and Level are very valuable. And I don't have maps for Balch or Bellow or anybody, but hopefully they're working to create them too. But you could see here, let me go down here, on Level Lake, obviously, those of us who live in town, but for those of you who don't, not from the area, they got nice 4 maps. This first map shows you, this is State Road 109. So a lot of the red you see there is State Road 109. And that makes sense. So we have to work with the state on how they treat the salt in the winter. And we have to control the erosion there. It'd be very important to solve that problem for that lake.
That map's just showing.
Excuse me, you want me to go back?
Well, it's just, that map was just showing where the high points of like where the sediments going in.
Yes, roughly. yeah.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there are points where like some erosion of some kind were identified and they were roughly prioritized by like high, medium, and low impact.
Okay.
I will just add for extra context that many of those points are, the majority of them are actually residential properties, not like campgrounds necessarily.
I'm very familiar, so.
Okay, yeah, so that might complicate the conversation a little bit, but yeah.
So that would, so Chuck, this would be my point is.
John, turn your mic on.
It shows me that the issue isn't, if, let's just use this as a lake, the lake we're talking about. If that shows me that the issue isn't with the town, this is with the state.
So with that one road, I've seen in other towns that really, they got together with the state and we've always had a great relationship with our state crew. So if they have the knowledge, at my gas station I built on, back in '94, I put what was called a vortex catch basin. And I called them up and say, did you vacuum out in the last 2 years? But you're supposed to vacuum it out every couple of years, but it circulates, as opposed to just a concrete catch basin that you and I grew up with. This is a vortex and it spins it. And so when it comes off the driveway, it's supposed to keep it and then you vacuum it out and it doesn't go into the waterway. So those are some of the solutions that you would have when you're near roads. Good point, Charlie. Thanks for bringing that up, man. And I didn't do Pine River, right? You gotta go counterclockwise. So Pine River, this is the one that they did extensive work on. What year did you do that?
It's been over the last like 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
And what were the results you saw from doing erosion control in those 3 different areas?
So, yeah, so at least for the Pine River Pond boat launch, it's completely done. We had like some pretty high like phosphorus loading reductions of over 100 pounds of phosphorus per year, which is a very large number in that context. That one alone was the biggest result for a
That
project.
little
We-
5-foot wide one that serves up people up back, the 200
Correct.
watts or so up
Yeah.
there. Cool.
So that was a pretty successful one, and the ones on Blaney Road and or Pinewood Shores and Clearwater Lane are just finished and about to finish. We haven't quantified those yet, but those were also high impact ones.
So this is just, remember, I was just a little nonprofit with a handful of young people working with them in the summertime, so we could accomplish a lot if they can do that. So this is the UNH, and these are the people where we get all these numbers from. They work with the lake associations, they go out and they take the water readings every year. Have you worked with them before? I didn't know if you went out on the boats with them.
Who?
On Level Lake.
Yes,
Like,
but it's every 2 weeks in the summer, not once a year.
Oh, great.
The
great.
water samples, that's why the record
Excuse me,
is,
the ones that they post here, I'm
The
saying.
reports come out annually.
the reports are once a year, but it's a
Yeah.
compilation of the data that they take starting in May. right through
Throughout the summer.
September.
Which is.
Every
quick
2 weeks.
Because you get rain at different times of the year. heavy
You
rain,
get a
so
good average base.
Will increase it.
Well, you can't look at a one-time look.
Time,
Right.
it's really
You-
high.
You've got to do it over a cycle of the summer season cycle. Otherwise, it's meaningless to go out and take a grab sample and say, oh, the water's great.
Well, you
It
can't,
happened
you
to
can't
be
trend
that
it
day.
if you don't do that, so.
Right, and you need to know where it's going.
On July 10th, it's not so great.
Right.
So I'll just read this quickly. Listed below on these pages are a few examples of the Wakefield Lakes Health. Taken once a year, Dick. The example shown at Great East Lake, Level Lake, Pine River Pond, followed by an example from Milton Three Ponds to show what may happen to our valuable assets if not protected now. Now I'm attaching the link for the University of New Hampshire Lay Lakes program here, and you may look up your own lake if it's in the program. Click here, and so if you click on this link here, it'll take you in. And it's a little hard to find, but you got to scroll down, and there it is. Sometimes it may fool people. There's so many things in there. But if you get in here, sometimes it hesitates there. You can see all the lakes. There's Balch, right? Let me see if I can get back to it without going by. Oh, there's Bella, there's Balch and Bella. So all the lakes that participate are in here every year. So
And all the lakes in Wakefield do participate in this UNH program, so we have data for all the lakes.
Great.
Yeah.
So I have shown, what I'm going to show you coming up here, I have shown both in 2023 and 2024 reports. You will notice that the previous use of red has been replaced in 2024 with green. The Extension Service changed this after input from many volunteers who are involved in the testing. The purpose was to emphasize the effects of cyanobacteria, which shows up as the color green when blooming on water bodies. Regardless, the people at all levels involved in the program do great work, and we are all thankful for them. The 2025, and I just spoke on Monday, and they're going to send me a PDF if they get it even before they post it, but the 2025 Lay Lake reports will be out soon. If you are interested in helping, you can contact the Extension Service or your nearest lake association. So this quickly shows you. So remember we said you want better than 5 for dissolved oxygen. Great East Lake has 5.6. And all their water transparency is what, 27 feet? Their phosphorus is below, you want your phosphorus below 8, they're at 4.6. Your chlorophyll is anything below 3.3. So they're doing great. And then these maps show you where they will do some of their testing. Obviously, this is the deepest part of the lake, so that may have the better numbers. Level Lake, and I do 2023 and 24 just to show you. 23 rain, so you got that erosion in 23 into the lakes in 23. But this is typical of Level Lake that dissolves oxygen at 0.3, not even a half of 1, and you need 3 or above to not be poor. The number 3, not 0.3. The chlorophyll number was too high. The water transparency is pretty good, I guess.
So is
And the
that
fo-
because it doesn't flow enough?
Well, what's that?
Is that because it doesn't cycle out the volume enough?
No, I think it's because when you get those heavy rains in the spring and the early summer, you're bringing all that loose sediments into the
Right,
lake.
but that's not where the deoxygenated water comes from, right? That's gonna be where
Well, you're gonna.
that's gonna bring in sediment and algae and stuff and bacteria, but that's not gonna deoxygenize the water. The waters get deoxidized from not flowing through,
It
right?
gets deoxygenated
By sitting.
by like biological life. So if you have too much of the bacteria or algae, they do consume they cause the oxygen to get depleted when they die off.
Okay,
So that is, yeah, it is a
But
biological
it's-
impact.
so it's kind of a combination. It's just not flushing out enough in order to reduce the waste that comes from the
That's certainly
Biology
part of it.
like-
Yeah, if it turned over faster, it would
Right.
be less of an impact. But the cause of it is from just excess biological material.
So does dredging fix that? Well, help?
No.
I don't
No,
think so. Yeah,
exactly.
not.
So cyanobacteria
You
has
you either
been
gotta
around,
boil it or.
well, it's been
wait for
around for
nitrogen.
billions of years,
Correct.
right? 2.1 to 3.9 billion years.
Yeah.
Cyanobacteria has been around. So what can a homeowner right now do to prevent, protect our lakes? Have their septic checked? What else?
Eliminate any water that's going over the land and into the lake.
Yeah.
All the water that falls on that lot should get penetrated down into the ground. That is not happening. In fact, just the opposite is taking place. If you look around these lakes, these lots now are selling for $1 million. People are putting up a huge house, landscaping every square inch of the lot.
Mhm.
So any water that falls on that, even where it's got grass is not a good,
No, you need hardscaping or something.
right?
Yeah.
When did the building department
So-
stop requiring them to put it in the ground off the roofs?
Well, they require drip edge. That's part of the requirement is you gotta put drip.
Oh, I know what you're saying, but it's not on a current building down.
Well, whatever comes off the roof, but I'm talking about what
Previous.
what
Oh,
falls
well,
on
the whole lot,
site.
yeah, I understand, agree completely, but even what's coming off the roof isn't required to be managed on the current one.
It should be.
I thought
I
so.
believe the state requires that for any of the wetlands
It was
permit.
brought up and it has
You
not.
can't
it-
take the
it's
water
not
from a
in their plan.
downspout and
No,
let it.
Doug is correct. When you apply for a shoreline permit, that's all required to have drip line,
Impervious surface. Yeah.
water management around the house. I do it on a constant basis, but it's a residential home, when you go in to just build where I live, which is not on the lake, I guess nobody cares about us.
Right.
That's what I say.
No,
Right?
I get it.
We care about
It doesn't
the town.
work.
We care.
I know, but I'm just making a point that,
So-
we're not talking about the inner people, the
No.
people that can't even use these lakes, okay? They don't have these requirements, no.
I know.
Those numbers are changing. So I guess my other question is, so people should build retaining walls, put up hardscaping to kind of, or clumpy root shrubs to filter
don't
out
want
arsenic
hardscape.
and other things, or is it just,
You don't want hardscaping because hardscaping will allow the water to.
that's what I'm saying.
Well, you
That's
kind
what
of
I'm
have.
trying to
No,
get
no,
at.
Well, you had to
Yeah,
have
well,
the
you wanted to,
hardscape
you have the
capture it.
hardscape to
Yeah.
capture it, to let it dissipate in the ground
Well, you can do
before
it a
and then
number of
filter
ways.
through.
I
I
mean,
mean, if
lake.
it's all pitched down to the lake, because that's
Yeah.
what forms lake, it's the low point, right? Then you gotta do hardscaping to catch it.
And then maybe some
uh,
shrubs to filter it.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, by hardscaping, we're talking about like masonry work and stuff?
No.
no, I'm talking gravel that you
You
can
actually
dig
have,
down.
so if it's all
Exactly.
sloped down to the water, you have to do something to catch it.
Yep, yeah, there's different, I mean, do you want me to use a microphone or am I okay?
We can hear.
Okay, all right, yeah. You can do a variety of things. You can do crushed stone, like you said, like hardscaping, like crushed stone, walkways.
Root
drip lines,
grindings,
things like
stump
that. You
grindings,
can
whatever
do,
they are.
erosion mulch.
Erosion control mulch, which is sold by Hampton Landscaping and J.P. Simpson's in Sanford. Or you can do diverters, like rubber razor diverters on driveways or a fire hose diverter and things like that. So there are a variety, there's like some low impact and even natural options, planting as well, like dense vegetation, ground vegetation, vegetated buffer on the shoreline, all this stuff will slow the water down before it gets to the lake, so.
But what you need is landscaping the lots. So it doesn't look like a subdivision in Swampscott. These lots around the lake need to have natural areas where the water can penetrate into the ground. That's where you divert the water in. So when you see these new house developments, that is one near me, and there isn't 1 square inch of that lot that doesn't have hardscaping, lawn. There's
Yeah,
no
well,
area
me
for that
next to
water
me.
to go.
So does the
Yeah,
state,
That's a
Same deal. So
And I'll say quickly in context of what Chuck's talking about, these sorts of practices, there also exist for roads. And the camp roads sometimes can contribute far more stormwater than even an individual property, so that's why he brings this up, is because they tend to be the hotspots. And Brock and his crew just put in a really great, so like, I mean, the town does know about these stormwater installations, because Brock just put in a beautiful one again on Pond Road, which we had that meeting about a few weeks ago, so it's those kinds of practices on these other camp roads that really ultimately be beneficial to exist.
So it's two different issues. It's in three if you count the state. But if you look at Level Lake, you got the state highway on one side, but you've got gravel roads, town roads throughout that mirror that along the edge of the lake, all the way along the other end, other side of the lake. So yeah, we got to work with the state, and 109 is a problem, and that's going to be very difficult. But, and we need to keep working with individuals and the town enforcement, code enforcement, so we don't end up landscaping, maybe we need some different rules. I don't know, but
But when you go and apply for a shoreline permit, which I do on a daily basis,
Well,
these things are written out on these things, and we are following these things. Now, these things are coming from the big important people that are supposed to be doing all this, not these these little sections of people.
I agree. It's
These
the
are
way
the
it's supposed to be.
important people that's supposed to have all the knowledge about how to do this. So they tell you, you can only use, you gotta leave 20% in previous areas and all these things. We are following that. Why aren't we getting better? That's what I'm saying. The taxpayer here in town can only do so much. When you got the state that's giving you the diagram, and I have these, to follow, and we're following them. Why aren't we saying that we're doing a good job? We're still not doing a good job?
Well, I think you want
We're only doing what the state is telling
I
us to
think you're
do.
doing it on the lot you're working on. I'm talking
Well,
about,
I
the
guess-
majority of this is coming from the road.
And I understand that. And as he
And-
just said, we just addressed this quite heavily on One Pacific
I
Road.
saw that.
And we jumped on it. We jumped on it the very next morning, right? So we're in compliance, as in we're trying to do something. I'm just saying that you can only do, we're not the surveyors or the wet scientists that we'd like to be.
But you
But
did hear what I had to say, Charlie. Forget about the state. This is our tax base.
Well,
This is up to us to take care of this.
I would say that within the last couple of years, the state actually helped the process, right? And they said there's no fertilizer used within 25 feet of the lakefront, right? Would it make sense for them to extend that? I mean, what's 25 feet from the lakefront? That, to Dick's point, people
Hey,
are buying these
if you
houses,
look at
putting lawns in on their, right, on the
Right,
lakefront.
but if you
How's that How's that even allowed?
If you look at Maine, they
Someone's
have
gonna complain.
they have much stricter.
That's what I
rules than
mean.
us. They have a much better rating on what they do.
Oh, they're very strict.
But that's what I'm saying. I try to emphasize, and I've read it, and I think I've said it more than once. It's up to us. This is our thing. This is our tax base. They got 3 or 4 guys, or women and men, looking at 5 million lineal feet every day. It's not.
I
so
can't-
We've got to take care of it.
I can't tell you the last time I heard of a code enforcement officer going out and enforcing somebody putting fertilizer within 25 feet of a lakefront. If you
And all
can,
they have to do.
have you ever seen one?
All they have to do is pull the water from the lake. It's filled with so much nutrients. They don't need to waste their money on
I'm
fertilizer.
I'm just saying, but these people have these plush lawns right on the lakefront.
Again, that ticket, what you're saying is not done by the inner taxpayer.
no.
This is done by these people that are spending $1 million to buy this land. So is it, we're trying to save their environment, and they're the ones that are causing the issue.
Hopefully they're listening right now, Charlie, or will be, as this website will be up for years to come. These meetings will be on the website, so what you're saying and what John's saying, hopefully, and Dick and.
It's an
everybody-
unfortunate situation where New Hampshire doesn't have money. They want to bring people in, right? So what you see right now is NHDES will reject with a municipality if we reject a permit. If the municipality rejects a permit, the state trumps that. Then they come in and say, nope, we're gonna allow the permit. Okay, so the municipalities are losing power in that fight. So to say that the municipality has to do more is.
But
it's
the DES can only do
the
what your
hands get tied.
DES can only do what your legislature does. And the legislatures recently, when I read that interest in dividends, get rid of 300 million a year.
Mhm.
Environmental rules, loosen them up. You have to understand, we're on our own. I'm gonna keep repeating that. It's important for us to do everything we can on our own and not look to outside of our town boundaries. Let's do it.
So can we maybe help kind of set the stage and
Can I
and
want me to
focus?
continue and finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just let them finish.
How much more time are you looking for?
I probably got 5 or 6 minutes and
Okay,
I'm done.
all right, great.
So Level Lake, I showed you in 2023. I show you how poor the dissolved oxygen is. You have a page on dissolved, 2 pages on dissolved oxygen. You can read about the total phosphorus was high. Now watch 2024. The phosphorus dropped from 7, and we're taking into consideration what Dick says, to 6.6, and the dissolved oxygen went from 0.03 to 0.08. Now it's green instead of red. A lot less rain probably at that time. 23 was a rainier year, so you're seeing better numbers in 24. But I would love to, it would be wonderful if I could somehow get the numbers from John or Dick on those 6 times, 8 times a year. I'd love to have those, that they do the testing. And that would probably, and this shows you Level Lake where we test. We test out by the island and down at the very end. And this one down at the end is the deepest part of the lake. That's 41 feet right there. That's your deepest part of your lake. Pine River Pond, same problem, 0.03 and high chlorophyll, high phosphorus in 23. And you know, once again, not much better, but 7 parts per million on the dissolved oxygen, still not even 1. And the chlorophyll improved greatly. So like Dick says, when did they test it? I'm just generically saying 23 was better than 24. And then I show you, just for what it's worth, this lake's 54 feet deep. Level's 41, Pine River, someone would have to educate me. I don't believe it's any deeper than 40.
I don't think so.
And this lake's 54 feet. But what happened there is, was a developer, a well-known guy down there years ago in the 50s, and he created a lot of 50-foot lots. So when you go down past Townhouse on Route 16 in Milton, and you look out on the water, look at all those houses, they're all so jammed together, there's nothing preventing constant erosion into the lake because they created 50-foot lots before there were any rules. Now, they put a great video out. I should probably put it on this site only because it's such a, I get permission from them. But they did like a half-hour video down there on their lake and the cool areas that go up the river and everything. So they're really trying, but I don't know with these numbers whether it's just too late for them. But you hope that they all their work gives them some reward. So we're getting to the end here. Great, right? So this is one quick thing, and this just backs up when I keep telling you that this purple is your income. That's your property tax right there, 50%. 2/3 of it comes from the R2 zone, the lakes. We just did that. That's why I like to use this. Now this is, the red is only me. The rest of it's an article that was written in January, and I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to skip over it. But this is inadequate state lake erosion funds. This article shows you, though well-intentioned, the absolute chump change New Hampshire plans to spend moving forward on the #1 reason people vacation and spend their money here, the lakes. Now, what it talks about here is House Bill 1301. And House Bill 1301 was a $25 charge for mooring fees. And this is for cyanobacteria. They're trying to raise money for cyanobacteria. 1301 was going to raise $68,750 to $80,000 a year. Not a lot. I don't know what that would do. It got defeated. They didn't even want to do that. All right, that got defeated. They didn't even want to do that. So then we have another bill that is still alive. And this one is the loon plate. And this is House Bill 105. And House Bill 105 would do like the moose plate. And it sounds like a great idea, and it's wonderful. It's been around 2 years. They're still talking about it. Today they ended the House, so there's no more legislation going on after today in Concord. It's all done. So this is still extended. It's not killed like House Bill 1301. But the loon plate, I thought it was great. Everybody thinks it's great. Hey, I get a loon plate. That's great. Well, one of the gentlemen who works with the animals, the fish and game, and the other departments inside of the state that helps us with all our wildlife, he got up there and I was a little shocked the other day. He got up there and he said, I'm against this. Because why? The more money he can raise off the Moose Plate, the federal government encourage it. That's an encouragement, and you'll get federal money based on how much money you raise off the Moose Plate. So it's, so I'm just showing you that's still alive. And I'll tell you that Senate Bill 598, which is mentioned in this article, but House Bill 598 is a study. So after all these years, we all know it's 4 or 5 billion a year comes in for people that come to these lakes. That's what comes in for general, and think of Wakefield. We go from what, 6,000 people, I say 5,500. Dino would probably tell me it's 6,500, right?
We don't know anymore.
All right, thank you. And summertime is the guess another 6,500.
Yeah, I'd say we'll go to 15,000 probably.
Thank you.
18
So
times.
Senate Bill 598 is a study. Guys, you already know you got 1,000 bodies of water. You don't have enough people in the field. We're getting cyanobacteria. We had four lakes on Monday or Tuesday, cyanobacteria in the state. And so what this bill would do, what this is, it's a study. So here's what they're going to study. Explore including a voluntary decal program on non-motorized watercraft. Explore establishing a license plate decal. They're trying to appease the guy I was telling you about from the animals part of the government. We'll just let them put a sticker. We won't do a whole plate. So I think that's what that thinking is. Explore other voluntary, so all of us can throw some more money into funding it, resources. Explore the direction of a portion of the field septic system application fee to be transferred to cyanobacteria medication. Well, what happens to where that money's going now? It's not new money, it's just taking it from somewhere else. Explore relocating a percentage to be determined by the Department of Transportation and mitigation funds resulting from transportation drainage impacts. This money's currently going to the Aquatic Research Compensatory Mitigation Fund. So we're going to take it from an existing aquatic and bleed it off of that. These are not, that's the Senate bill, and they're going to study it and come out with a report in November. Well, I can give you the answer. You need to fund this. You need to fund taking care of something that's bringing you 4 or 5 billion. And we're, like I said, in this town, look at all these businesses. These businesses are packed. And when these become residential houses, these people are going to need the dump, the police, the fire, the school every day. And 85% of the people on these lakes who are paying this 66% of the tax, real estate tax, they ain't here but 10, 20, 30 days a year. And as I showed you, I live on the Milton Mills line. What I pay in real estate tax would double if I was over the other side of my stone wall.
Triple.
You're in Milton, I know. You
Both,
know Milton
it's
probably.
triple.
So anyways, enough of that, enough of that. So, and here's what I want you to show you. With realtors, they use this tool, all right? They use this as a selling pitch. There's 2 properties, not just because they're on Level Lake, Charlie. They're the only ones I can find. It's just, he knows.
Places
I love
sell
Level
themselves.
Lake. I hear from him. But if you can find others, I'll talk about that. Right now, current listings on Level Lake. This is what the realtor says. Level Lake is classified by the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services as Tier 1 high quality water body that fully supports aquatic life and recreational use, reflecting an outstanding environmental condition. Another one, an exceptional offering
Great
of
for fish.
pristine Level Lake, one of New Hampshire's rare oligotropic water bodies, celebrated for its crystal clear waters and unspoiled natural beauty. And then here's one that you see a lot on, not so much on the lake ones, but on regular houses. Welcome to, I won't say the address, in tax-friendly Wakefield. So we're selling it. So I'm going to do one quick thing here, and then this right here. What's that? I gotta go here. Where's my tech guy to help me? I'll just show this quickly, just to give us an idea. John will verify for you more than I have the knowledge. that the warming trend that's going on in New Hampshire, the world, wherever you want to talk about it, is also harmful to the lakes. So more importantly, we take care of what we can take care of, and that's why I'm talking about erosion coming off of everybody bringing gravel every year. Oh, where did the gravel go? Bring more into the roads. So this shows, I have up to 2024. 2024 is the warmest year on record at 49.6 degrees. That's the average for the whole year. Since New Hampshire record keeping began in 1869. 7 of the 10 warmest years have happened since 2010, and the trend is heavily damaging to the lakes. And this chart right here shows you it jumped ahead of 2023. So 7 of the 10 hottest years. So that's that one. Let me get rid of that. And I want to quickly go and show you how valuable the lakes are here. So I think of health and safety. I think of my police, my fire. I think of my great ambulance crew. I mean, my God, I know when my father had a heart attack, we drove him down here, and the police station used to be on the bottom floor trying to catch the ambulance. We're so lucky, especially in your 70s. I'm thinking there might be a use in the future here. And so we're thankful to have it. But I just want to show you, it's $1.3 million for police now. It's $878 plus $268, so almost $1.1 million for fire and ambulance. And fire is only going to go up when we become more permanent on fire. You can see it in the future. You're going to have permanent fire. And then
It already is.
what's that?
It already is.
Well, at 250, it's probably a steal. We have permanent ambulance, but you don't
No,
have
it's,
the
it's
entire
full-time
fire
coverage,
crew
full-time 24/7 coverage
for ambulance.
for everything.
For everything.
Well, but I mean, we're expecting volunteers to show up too, correct?
We
Yeah,
have
they're
3
phasing
on
out.
call 24 hours a day.
What's that?
There's,
I believe there's 3 on call that sit and sleep right at the.
Right. I was in handing out the card and torturing with the guys.
Yeah.
So, the highway crew, which I can't say enough about, quick story. Back in the 60s and early, even probably late 70s, where I lived, we were the only house for a mile. Maybe occasionally someone would move in, but then they'd leave. But we were just about the only people living there for quite a few years, and they didn't plow till those 8 inches of snow, and we didn't complain. Who cares? That's where you live. That's even a better thing. They're not plowing till 8 inches. Well, today, if you speak to Brock and tell him if he waited to 4 inches, how many phone calls he would get. So this year, we have highway administration at 570 and highway and streets at 726. So about $1.3 million for that. Just so you know at home, highway administration would be the salary of the road agent, public works director, administrative assistant, office supplies, professional development, focus on managing lot logistics, planning road maintenance schedules, budgeting, and handling residents' complaints on paper. And believe me, that's a great part of his job. Highways and streets, what it pays for, physical labor, materials, and heavy machinery operation. This includes salt and sand for winter and snow removal, asphalt, gravel, culvert, street sweeping, and vehicle fuel, maintaining the town's infrastructure, paving roads, and keeping the transportation network operational. So they're crucial, and 33% of every one of their dollars comes from the lakes. So I think the last thing I have, and I'd like to introduce a gentleman who's been patiently sitting behind me that wrote this book. The link, proper road maintenance. The links on this page are a great way for all of us to understand how the erosion problems from constant and yearly introduction of various types of gravel around our water bodies become a large source of cyanobacteria. Russ Lanois from Madison has written a book that details the ways to protect our valuable tax resource. Russ has gathered this information from years of trial and error and has a source for the road material that can be a lifesaver for these water bodies and our tax base. The book Russ has written is free here online by just clicking here, or by simply clicking here. Russ also turned me on to the Department of Transportation, this website right here. And this is I mean, it's very lengthy, but it's a great website. And so between the two. Now we have, the gravel we use now is what we use I'm on VZ Cove Road now, and they use it, and it's been a big improvement over the gravels of the previous years. Oh, there it is. And well, no, that's Coleman. And so we use Monarch, which is on 109, and it's Quikrete sand pit. But the young guys who run it, I went and spoke to, they have convinced Quikrete to let them sell to the general public in the town. So we're very fortunate. Brock uses it. We're using it on VZ Cove. It's good. It's good. But once again, I think you have, Brock has educated me. The gentleman who runs Bellow Lakes Road Association, he's educated me, and Russ has educated me. You really got to grade these roads. When you just go in and back drag them, it's just, the gravel's just gonna blow out eventually. But we had that heavy rain last weekend, and the Monarch stuff has held up well, but a couple of storms will probably start blowing those potholes out again. So those three guys educated me on gravel roads. And so I believe Monarch's the best source product around. But I can, before I let Russ speak, this is the young guy who makes the material for Monarch.
This is a train.
And this is what he said. This is what we're putting a window on,
We've been selling them piece though.
So I don't know if they've been awake since the first one staff. Now, Irving, that was me. Well, a lot of the Irving, you say I built them. I live with this. This is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. Pardon me, guys.
Still a bluestone dust up, blowing like concrete. It's amazing. They just put gravel down and no compact. This,
No, that's not it. That's 3 minutes long. We don't want to hear that.
at the end of the winter. He's using stuff.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
I think we get the gist of it.
It's different. Everything does. So what, 3/8 piece stone?
He's telling me how he makes one.
We did that. ANIT. Conway. I swear to God, you wanna stop calling me first?
Is different from what they're doing with the ledge at home.
Yeah, I wish we had a ledge.
Oh, you play with that, wouldn't you?
Oh, it'd be a lot better product.
Well, that's just the man making Monarch. And we do,
Temporary driveways will let
Yeah.
it pack,
well, that's the
riverbank
man
run,
talking
things like
about-
that, temporary driveways. Before they.
I've been using that.
Oh, it's just this one.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't
is.
move.
Yeah.
So Chuck,
It is
the,
great.
Water runs over
the
it,
product
affects
is called
the
what?
housing.
Monarch?
So Monarch is Quikrete. All your Quikrete you can buy in bags at the
Yeah.
hardware store.
Yeah,
But that young guy speaking and the other guy he works with, they convinced Quikrete to let them sell to you, me, and the town. I could see Quikrete going, why are we letting anybody in here? We just wanted to, they bring it down to, they bring it down by Raymond. They have a plant, I believe. But anyways, the emphasis is this product right here that Russ brought with him. And we've compared them, Russ and I, the Monarch, I got a bucket of that from Brock. And then I got a bucket over there, and it's the same stuff over there. But that's what the kid says when he knows it. He knew what it was. And the young guy up at Bellow, who's taking care of their roads, he's buying 22 truckloads of it right now out of Coleman because he just feels with that crushed ledge, it just packs in better. And you guys know as well, it's not better than I. So I'd like to introduce Russ. Russ is, as I said, has done hundreds of roads and for years, and he developed
Yeah.
this
It's like-
with Mr. Coleman over the years. And if he could just give you his experience on his everything he's done with his ditch and pond.
I'll look at what you work.
Let me go through a mic.
Right there.
Okay. Couple of observations. China Lake in Maine. Real estate prices went down. They got on the bandwagon, cleaned things up. Stuff came back up. It can happen. And China Lake is quite a ways up there, but still they had the same thing happen that you're facing here. Another observation I had, I think the engineer for the town of Conway told me, if somebody's doing something that's impinging on the town can fix it and bill them for it. So, I don't know whether that's universal, this town by town, but it's a consideration. This book, by the way, for your folks over in Maine, on that Maine, this was actually printed by the state of Maine, much unknown to me. I went to one of the workshops over there and I discovered they printed it. What's nice about this, you can print it offline in color, but they printed it in color, which is quite nice. And copies should be available through the Maine Local Roads Association if anybody wants one. I've been doing this since 1964, essentially trying to deal with campground roads and working my way along. For years, I bought about $45,000 worth of gravel from Coleman's. And they pay a little bit of attention to what I'm looking for. And it can vary at times because there's no science. Unlike concrete, where you push certain buttons and you get a certain mix for a certain slump, for a certain whatever. This is very much seat of the pants. So they pay close attention to the guys in the pit. Once in a while, they get too much stone. And I'm not sure that's not the problem that you've got with some of the material you have now, because I did a little bit of testing on it. I almost think there's too much stone and not enough sand, silt, and clays to hold it all together. My observation.
You're talking about Monarch?
I guess that was a Monarch, if that was the sample you brought me, yeah. This is Coleman's ledge pack. When you're going to Conway and you start down that last steep hill, just before you get to Conway Village, you look across and there is an enormous quarry there. I have pictures of it. I think there's a picture in the book, and it's getting deeper and bigger. It's basically Concord granite, not Conway granite, like the old man of the mountain that crumbled. It's Concord granite, the hardest granite in the state, so it doesn't break down. For years, we used rotten rock up there. I don't know if you ever had it down here, but we had rotten rock pits up around our way, and it was the only thing they had. They used it straight, they screened it, but it was continuing to break down, so it would turn into loam essentially in a period of time. This stuff will not. It's very, very hard. It does knit together. Somebody asked me about knit pack on one of the presentations I was doing. I've done presentations for the state. I've done presentations all over the southern Maine, and I'll tell you, there's no better way to learn stuff than when you're talking to a bunch of guys that have been doing this their whole life and they start asking you questions. You come up with some answers pretty quick. Yeah, it was one of these. It was one of these things that I learned that a crown on a road is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be like this because more traffic goes down the middle and the sides. Two separate lanes, and you very seldom if ever see it. The circuit rider for the state of Maine says that a road grader operator will grade roads flat 9 out of 9 times. It's a given. And you look. I know my own town roads. I'm looking at them. They're flat. Flat will not work with rain and traffic. Flat will be potholes. Coleman apparently will be happy to deliver down here. They deliver all over the state. I believe that that Bello has been using this material. I put 77 triaxle loads of this on one road last fall. I had taken care of the road for years. I'd given it up. Maybe I'll be 82 this summer. I probably should retire, but I don't think it's in the cards. They used to have potholes just galore. 12 potholes this spring on 2 miles of road with this material. It holds together well. It sheds water. Good packing gravel will not put water back into the aquifer any better than asphalt will, because it should dry out to a real hard crust and shed water. And it will if it's the right material. It will pack down hard. You can get it smooth. I've used material like this over on Swan Lake where people wanted to walk barefoot, push baby carriages, whatever. Basically the same material. So it's a big material is a big factor. How it's put down is a big factor. You can't push that rope. You got to kind of nurture that along to get people to understand what the shape should be. But I strongly recommend it. The book's available online. It's also should be available through main local roads for those folks from the main area. So anybody's got any questions? I'm here.
What was the shape again? I missed that. The,
An A.
It's gotta have a 2%
An
grade on
A.
it,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
gotta be pitched
A.
to the top.
You said, so the idea is that cars will travel on one side versus the other, not down the middle? Is
No,
that
they
what
do
you
go
said?
down the middle.
Everybody puts one wheel down the middle.
Really see a good.
Everybody puts one wheel down the middle.
Yeah.
Where's the road the flattest? There's a poem on the back page of this. That
On a dirt
talks
road,
about
yeah,
that.
You don't have lines, you're down the middle.
Yeah, you get a road that's that rounded crown.
Yeah.
Everybody puts one wheel in the middle. Where's the road the flattest? Right in the middle. That's where the potholes are. You look now, when you go down a road with a rounded crown, you look and you're gonna find that row of potholes is most likely down the middle. Yeah, there'll be
It'll be
potholes
in the
here and
middle,
there.
or it'll be where the cars tend to ride,
Yeah, sure.
where it
It
doesn't
was-
shed.
The main grader trainer did a workshop at one of the ski areas, and when I looked at that road, I did a double take. It's wow, it came to a point. It came to a point. Big factor. Very, and a lot of towns still use the old tow behind rakes, and I developed the front runner, and I know the town of Wakefield had one. I think they wanted out, and unfortunately, it's out of production. But a lot of towns will use those tow behind rakes, and they are one of the best things designed for taking the crown off. So I think that's pretty universally.
Well, that's the operator error though.
You're the one that developed the front runner, right?
Yes,
Did you live on Tasker Hill?
yes, still live on Tasker Hill. I'll be on
I bought a
Tasker.
few of them in my day.
What's that?
I've bought a few of them in our day.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I remember you up there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
no,
realize
we
that was you.
developed the front runner in we went into production in 1990. Fisher was gonna take it over in 1996. They backed out of it at the last minute.
But you don't see them anymore.
It was the only thing that dovetailed with their
The York.
operation, but they dropped it at the last minute, and we'd stopped production, so we and now the price of steel has gone so high that the price of tines has gone so expensive that I haven't been able to supply the towns with. I did for a lot of years. I supplied the towns, and probably Wakefield included, with replacement tines, because I know the town of Milton did all their grader work for 2 years with the truck with the front runner because the grader was down.
They worked great.
So,
Still,
yeah.
they did, they worked great.
So,
No, that was great.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I would just quickly say that I haven't gotten to meet you in person before, but Russell Noy is the highest authority on this subject in my field, as far as I know. Like, any reference I've ever made to a camp road has come from something you've written. So in this area, like, I learned about you in college. Like, your reputation precedes you.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
please-
Yeah, they canceled my
Absolutely,
they canceled my program at UNH, but
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So just
It's simple.
conceding proof is worth just from speaking. That's absolutely, like, all of this is codified in
Yeah.
our practices.
Great.
If any of you are regular Chronicle watchers, you may have seen me playing in the mud a couple of years ago. I think they ran that episode like 3 times in the spring. Wondering why the roads get muddy. Has to do with frost, I think, and rain, and thawing, and cars. All right, anything else? I'm gonna leave you this sample. You wanna check it out? Get it damp, make a ball out of it, let it dry, you'll find it'll be like a brick.
that's what, ledge pack?
Ledge pack, yep, it is, it's busted ledge with a certain amount of overburden, which is the soil above it, the glacial till above it. Like I say, there's no recipe for it. The guys are gonna watch what they're making. And sometimes they'll have to rerun something because they got too much or too little
Yeah.
stone, whatever. It has to have the right amount of stuff, and it's pretty much by eye as the guys are making it, because
Yeah, you have to go and check the ledge pack at any
Yeah,
of
it
these
can't-
pits.
can't
You
be
can't
too
just
sandy.
purchase it anywhere. Yeah.
Now, I was just surprised that Burke up in Conway has a new pit, and their material will not pack. It doesn't have enough binder in
Yeah.
it. But they have a DOT number on their stuff, and I've called pits all over the state, and they say, no, this is all a byproduct. So I don't know how one pit has a DOT number, but
Interesting.
Coleman does not have a DOT number, but they got some great ledge pack.
Yeah.
I've used it to build a walkway last year and it went through the winter. Not one bit of the fines in that moved
Yeah,
all winter long.
yeah, done right. It'll
Well,
last.
stone dust is like concrete. I mean,
Yeah.
once you get it wet, it binds and it's done.
Yeah.
It's one, I always spend a lot of time on it in the book and on the presentations that I do, and I'm happy to do a presentation for your Lake Association if you want. I've done them all over the state. I lost my train of thought. It's 81 is still a little too old for doing this.
Doesn't
stuff.
get any better after 81. Take my word for it.
But
young guy to you, Dick?
huh?
Huh?
Is that a young guy to you?
Yeah, 81's young. right?
I'm catching up.
Hopefully I'll keep ahead of you.
No, I get my own gear.
In 60.
Well, I just wanna
Huh?
thank
How old are you,
you,
Dick?
giving me over an hour of time.
I'm 83 in another month.
And we'll talk, I'll give you an explanation of how I think we can do it financially as well as physically. So I just wanted to get this out there with this first meeting. The Conservation Board was very good, let me practice on them. The Budget Committee let me speak for 6 minutes at the Budget Committee cold, so everybody's been great. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for all you do to volunteer to come and sit here too at these meetings twice a week.
Yeah, and Chuck, thank you for taking the time to put this together. I think there's a lot of valuable information.
Oh, it's
here.
fun. It's fun. I enjoy it.
I think
Thank you.
at the end of the day, it's unfortunately, a lot of things are about budgets and money. But I think you are bringing to light, at least my opinion, you're bringing to light some things that maybe some areas to focus on that would make, a big impact for maybe not that much money. I think that's what you're trying to get at, but we'll wait for your,
I'll come and
Yeah,
ask, let's
discussion.
go over that then.
yeah, no, okay.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
I'd just like to make one comment,
Yeah, what?
because I can't keep quiet.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I really wish you wouldn't do is always indicate that it's 66% of the taxpayers, the money's coming from the lakes. And the reason why I say that is because as a taxpayer, not on the lake, I pay just as much as you. It's just that it so happens my house isn't worth the same as yours. So.
Well, I've never been on the lake
No,
with
but
a
I'm
house
just-
until recently.
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the taxpayer, the lake people do pay more tax money. Because they're fortunate enough that their house is worth 3 times much more than the inner people. But I still pay the same $8.35 or whatever it is,
Well, I think his point,
as everybody else.
Yeah, the lake.
So I
should
hate to hear that, because I hear it a lot, and I'm all for helping. But I hate this, that the lake people, it's all their tax money that makes this town
Well,
run.
let me say what I've said to you with these meetings before when you said that, Charlie. They're only here 20, 30 days a year.
I
You
understand.
expect fire, you expect rubbish, you expect
I don't,
police, you expect all that stuff 365
right now,
days
land
a
in
year.
Wakefield is
Huh?
going for over $5,000 an acre.
What's that?
Land in Wakefield, land, not lakefront land, not on a lake, is going for over $5,000 an acre. That's how much land is going for. So your home front, your lake fronts. I mean, they're 1.2. The rest of the town is almost valued at that. Literally, the land is going for as
So-
much as your property,
But they're not getting.
and you
any-
have like a quarter acre.
But they're not, these people are not getting, they're using a
They're not
fraction of
using
the
the services
services
either,
that
so-
are around people.
Again,
Not
just
nearly as
leave
much.
it at this so that we don't get into a debate. I just want to make a point. Again, these are the choices that the people that buy these things on the lake, these are the choices that they make. So that I just don't like giving credit to them precisely.
So what, if there was a factory here in town and it was paying a third of all your bills?
I would have bent over for it.
Boy, well, you go to towns like Dover and Rochester, they'll give
They
them
do.
5 years of free taxes.
And they do. And do you see
That's how you
Dover?
But that's how you bring
Do you see-
a tax base.
And I understand it. So,
Money.
but my point has been this way
But-
for 20 years. I've been in this position.
and to point out that.
My point
tax-
is that
Yeah.
we do contribute as much. It's just that we're not valued as much. And I understand that they may not use it, but they use it while they're here. And I don't use all the
But
time.
I'm
I
talking
don't.
about the expense
so-
of the
so-
services of the
No,
town.
but let me
The
finish. Let me
expenses
finish.
of fire and police.
I get-
And rubbish in school, they're not impacting us.
I understand
They're
that.
impacting them 5, 6 times.
I understand that.
So that's the value.
But let me finish. But when we can't use 50% of these lakes, I can't use them. They're not even accessible by the public. It's hard, and I'm saying I don't mind contributing. I'm not speaking for myself. But it's hard for me to ask the little old lady across the street to pay more taxes to help contribute to these things.
It's your tax
I
base
get
you're
it.
gonna
I get it.
lose.
I
and
get
you're
it. I get it.
Where you live,
I
if
get
those lakes go bad.
I get it.
I don't think you do.
Yes,
I've
I
had
do.
enough meetings with you, Charlie. I don't think you get it.
Yeah.
I hear the same thing about you can't get in the lakes. We have boat ramps,
So-
we have a town beach.
Chuck,
Come
Chuck,
on.
Chuck, just,
We have a boat.
Chuck, just a little bit lower on the.
But we have boat ramps and we have a town beach, and you always say we have no access. You have access.
So,
Let me get
so
it.
just hold on, just hold on a second.
Fine,
I think there's a bit of truth on both sides, right? The town does not have access to every lake, it has access to some. I think there is, I think it's good information to understand that a good portion of the tax revenue comes from lakefront homes that does benefit folks that are not on the lakes. And I'm with Chuck on the fact that if those lakes were degraded to a point where those values are not as high as they are now, that's going to have a negative impact on everyone in the town, right? So I think we can agree on that. I do understand your point. Like, we don't want to send a message out there that I guess belittles other tax-paying households in the town, because I agree with that.
I mean,
You
this
pay
is
taxes just
like
like
the
everybody
hydrant
else does.
And the water system in town.
Patrick, I
Yeah.
just want you to know that I agree that these are our diamonds. I've said it 100 times, haven't I?
Sure. And so,
You've heard me.
I
agree.
maybe a
I
way
just
to,
want you to know that I have, these are the things that I always have that issue.
Well, I was gonna
But
call
I'm-
if you wanna come and
I-
make sure you came tonight.
Yes, I.
so maybe a way to end this, and appreciate you coming, and I spent quite a bit of time, but that's okay. Maybe there are some inexpensive ways to make big impacts, right? To help
Mhm.
keep those lakes at a point where they are still healthy and they are bringing in revenue, right? So I think that is how, future discussions, how we maybe want to try to frame that and maybe figure, some things out. I think I agree that road erosion is a major cause of some of these problems. I'm not so sure it's the leading one. Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I think there's other things that are there's issues with individual property owners, right? That's certainly an issue. There's issues with roads. There's potentially issues with septics. That's a whole other topic. But I do believe that there could be some significant valuable impacts from working on some of these erosion issues on these dirt roads, whether they're private or whether they're town roads across town. And
Yeah.
maybe
Start
some
with
of
the red
those
and
are
work our way down.
relatively inexpensive to deal with.
There is.
That's it.
We
So-
just proved
Yeah, no,
that the other day.
absolutely, right.
We went and I looked at the road, I took charge at that meeting, did I or did I not? And we made sure that very next day, Brock went there and we solved the problem, we didn't solve it all. We solved a small issue that we could do, so I want you to know, I'm all in. It's just that sometimes I just find it so hard that when I make these comments, I'm consistent. I've said it for 20 years. I've sat in this spot for 20 years and I've said the same thing. But have I contributed for 20 years? Absolutely. I think these are our diamonds.
I gotta say, the work that you guys did over there the day after we had that meeting, that kind of project takes me 2 years to do through grant process. You gotta get the
Exactly.
next day. So I was blown away thinking, gee, if the town could do stuff like this, other places,
Absolutely.
problems that'll take me 15 years to solve might get solved in 2 summers. And that blew my mind. So
We can
if
do
there
that.
was a way to target these high priority places with the resources you guys already have, that would be very impactful.
Yeah, it's all good.
Great. Well, thank you very
I've been
much.
coming at you for years, John.
I know you have. I'm listening to you for years. Listen to you forever.
Everybody,
All right,
thank you again.
thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
You want that there?
Yeah.
I love ledge pack. Stuff is fantastic.
Used to make it.
No, I don't think we're gonna take it, so you ought to take it, and, but we understand it, and I know, Brock, we've had it, we're using it and all that.
It identifies with.
Thank you. All right.
Well,
So you have some,
All right. The rest of this meeting, I think, is going to be a lot shorter. I have a feeling.
That was good, though.
No, it was good. Maybe we should have known ahead.
Well, it was a great shock that you wanted the last word. You almost never do that.
let's hammer through the rest of this.
All right. So a couple things.
You are consistent, absolutely.
Yes. Short-term rentals. So there was where is it? Jeez.
It's not in the packet.
Not in the
Like,
packet.
Not in
All
mine.
right. Sorry, guys. We're gonna move this to
It was
the.
online.
What is it?
I had put together a draft registration form that we had talked
like
about
an
last
actual
time that
form?
we would review
Yeah.
as a board. I had Amber and Peter take a look at it. They had a couple comments on it. Eventually, if
What was
this-
Peter's comment?
Peter's comments was, he doesn't know how this is gonna be administered with the work that he has on his plate. And I said, that's not for the planning board to, that's not the planning board's forte, that's the select board's. So, this is something that we're gonna put forth to the voters. If the voters voted in, that's gonna have to be something that the select board's gonna have to deal with.
Did you send out the registration form you're talking about?
It was in the
Send it to
packet that
board.
came out.
Um,
Try not
Just
to make
as
it
was
sound so
it?
forceful.
oh,
We
you're
were
right, it
resistant.
was. It was, but she didn't print it out here.
Yeah, it's not in this
Yeah.
printed package, but
Yeah.
it was in the stuff we got online.
If you're okay with it, we'll continue the short discussion. Next.
Maybe you ought to
meeting.
ask Tom if he
Yeah,
has
Tom, do
any
you have anything
comment.
to add?
No, I mean, I think that you updated a little bit, sort of a general
Yeah,
proposed article,
right.
a
Made it a little bit simpler.
little simpler based on
Yep.
what we talked about at our last meeting.
Yep.
The only thing I saw was just a quick thing under, registration required. You know, in once, if you have listed, number of bedrooms, and then you put per septic approval, but then further on, you were using the other part that we
The
talked
tax,
about.
right, okay,
Which was-
so,
Number of bedrooms
Yep.
plus two based on the tax card.
sure,
where we-
sure,
so
okay.
that-
Let me sync that up,
Right, that was really.
okay?
Yep.
All right,
But yeah, that was pretty, consistent with what we
Okay.
talked about, skinnying it up, getting rid of some stuff that
Yeah.
was just words.
okay. All right, so we'll move that to the next meeting. It'll be quick, I promise. Data centers, this potentially could be quick as well. I have a email out to our town attorney. I've asked him to take a look at our current zoning to see what would or would not be allowed as far as if somebody came to us and asked to, or had a proposal or an application for a data center in town. I'm still waiting on that response. So, I will bring
This is
that.
Current zoning. you
We
mean.
just want to
Current
see how
zoning,
feasible
right.
it is with the current zoning.
Current
to
zoning.
put it
New
through.
Hampshire wants them. Has invited them. So I was.
So they
confused to
are
see-
not. Nottingham, have you been following that?
They said municipalities, not state. But yeah, I agree. I'm the one that brought it up. I think that
Yeah,
we should
no,
definitely put something in
I
place to
think-
prevent data centers or some kind of regulation. They use literally enough water per day as 50,000 people. That's how much water they use. And not only that, all the internals of a cooling tower is PFAS. So now you have that as well. So there's a lot, there's both.
There's some,
Noise wise, the decibel level is less than what we allow in town.
I think it depends upon whether or not they're
How old
running,
you are.
whether they're running like backup generators because the power grid doesn't have enough power to supply.
Technology is advancing. As technology advances, they'll become cleaner. But
Sure.
right now-
And generators can be put in buildings and muffled. I mean,
Yeah,
that's not an issue.
true.
But they do consume a lot of water and they jack up your electricity bill as well, because the amount of electricity that they're consuming. So like, yeah, your bills would be astronomical. At some point, if let's say they were to buy that property out there on Route 16, that's on the Branch River, that's on an aquifer. It's commercial district, right? And they were to buy that and they build a data center there,
50 acres.
putting their straw, just like oil days, putting their straw right into our water.
Yeah, no, so Josh, I appreciate you bringing this up. I mean, certainly there's a lot of, this is a hot topic. The state of Maine, I think, has put a moratorium, the entire state on
Yeah.
data centers. Until they learn more, so. As soon as I hear back from our attorney, we'll further discussion on it. And as part of what Jen had included, in an email, there are some other towns in New Hampshire that are looking at kind of the same thing that we're looking at, so. So you can take a look and see if there's anything that we would want to do or not. Meaning potentially put something in front of the voters if we feel it's helpful, so.
Just keep on adding on. So you can look at one good examples in Texas at Stargate. They're just massive acreage.
Yep, great. All right, under correspondence, there is, just as an FYI, there is an invitation to the Stratford Regional Planning Commission annual meeting, so everyone should have an invite to that, should they want to attend. And then next on the agenda is looking for approval of the May 21st minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 21st minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
All
I
right.
couldn't vote, but I wasn't here.
You did.
You had enough. I just abstained. You guys have enough votes. Yeah.
And then next meeting date is June 18th. So I'll talk to Amber. I'm not aware of anything that is on the agenda. If there could be. But if there will, okay, all right, okay.
Well, I'll be
No,
coming
no.
back, I'll be coming back for the marching band up to the, hoping to get on.
Oh, yeah, okay, great.
I get that together,
Great,
so
nice.
I was hoping she was here so I could
Yeah.
figure out the next
Okay.
step, cause I'm not used to our way here, so I wanna just make sure I get it all together.
Okay, perfect. Great. We're looking forward to that.
Awesome.
It's a great project.
Second that.
Okay, anyone care to make a motion to adjourn?
Done.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, here.